Hey, folks, welcome back to the Mindful Metal Jacket podcast. Everybody unanimously loved the last episode with Sam Harris. Not one single person had a problem with Sam. They loved it. But seriously, go check out that episode if you haven't already. He's fucking amazing, and it was an awesome episode. But don't do it now, right now. Stay put, because we got your friend, my friend, the hilarious, the lovable H. Foley. You know him from Are You Garbage, and his brand new special live from Madison on YouTube. If you haven't watched already, you got to do it. Do it now or do it right after this. Stay on YouTube. Don't touch that radio dial. Maybe you're just listening to a podcast, old school. I get corrupted by the fact that I think everyone's watching everything on YouTube. I know a lot of you are just listening to the audio only. Maybe that's preferred. You don't have to see my stupid fucking face. We'll talk about that. This is a great episode. I was so happy to have Henry H. Foley here. He's one of the kindest, funniest guys, and he came over. He brought gifts for the baby, which was really sweet, and I've been wanting to have him on. And this is lucky episode number 100, although there's a lot of missing episodes. We got to figure out what these missing episodes are. People can't find the Soder, the Sam Morrill, the Stavros. The biggest episodes are hard to find. I don't know why. But anyways, we'll figure that out another time. This is episode 100. I appreciate you being part of the journey. Share the podcast, comment, like, subscribe, share, whatever. Spread the word, for God's sakes. Also, if you want more one-on-one fun interviews, you can go to punchuplive.com. First of all, you can see all my dates there, buy tickets, but there's bonus stuff. For $5 a month, you can get a bunch of bonus stuff. It's like Patreon, but better. And it's a lot of me and Matt Wayne. There's some other great stuff on there. I'm doing some solo stuff. Go check that out. And while you're there, you can join my email list. Come see me in Los Angeles, May 2nd at the Regent Theater. Next weekend, Raleigh, Goodnights with Matt Wayne. And a bunch of other dates coming up. Indianapolis, St. Louis, L.A., Burlington, Vermont. I'm all over the place. But for now, sit back, relax, enjoy this episode with my pal, H. Foley, and be sure to go watch his special. Thank you. I love you. This is it.
Hey, buddy.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe.
It's pouring rain. I appreciate you making the trip. We'll get right into mental health. When somebody's doing me a favor, coming to do a thing, and it's raining, I feel responsible for the rain.
This isn't me doing you a favor. If we were moving a couch or something, I'd be doing you a favor. We're podding, baby. What do you mean? I'm in the neighborhood.
I know, but you're a big get. Don't you know that?
Shut up.
You're a get.
You're doing fat jokes the second I walk in here. I'm rude.
I'm telling you, you're a get.
Oh, stop it.
You should see some of the people. I had my friend Erica on. She's a beautician.
She told me you had some guy on the FBI wanted list on.
Sam Harris. Yeah, people are upset about it. God. People are furious. You don't know Sam Harris?
I don't know Sam Harris.
It's funny because I was pushing like huge. I mean, he is huge. He's got like a couple million followers. He's like a big deal. But a lot of people don't have any idea who he is. He's also hilarious.
I'm an idiot when it comes to all that stuff.
He's very funny, and people are very upset with me. Half the people are like, do you look at YouTube comments?
Do I look at YouTube comments? I'll breeze through them a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do on my own because they're usually nice, but sometimes I dabbled in Kill Tony. I did Kill Tony this week.
Sure.
And I took a peek in there, and some of the people were just like, you piece of shit, you suck, you're not funny. And you want to be like, but what about the 800 comments that said I was number one? I was the best.
Of course, yeah. You focus on the negative one. And you also, when you look at that stuff, you have to say, Kill Tony. I mean, that's hundreds of thousands, millions of views. Shout out to Kill Tony. Great show.
Absolutely.
And, if there's 800 comments, and a small percentage of them are negative, the percentage of the views is insane.
Yes.
Which that took me a long time to, get to that. Obviously.
Most people don't comment. And I do think a person who's commenting, like a negative comment on YouTube, is particularly probably unwell.
Sure.
Or just fucking around with you. For the most part.
Or they're dead on accurate.
Or they nail it. Yeah. Or they're a comedian who fucking started their own account just so they can trash
this guy knows how to cut. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that where you're like, I did do that. Fuck.
I've thought way worse things about myself than anybody could say, I think. You know?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I hate myself.
Me too.
Deep down.
Great comedy special on YouTube, by the way. Joe List, I hate myself. 9 million views. No, I do too. So you sit there and are you conscious of your I've been listening to a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy that talks about core beliefs. You ever hear this core belief thing?
No.
It's like when you're mindful of the way you think, you realize like what are your core beliefs about yourself.
They're not good.
That's how I feel.
They're not good, and then they're also, I would say, narcissistic in certain aspects.
Right.
But deep down, and like in the dark caves of the back of my mind, yeah, I'm a scared little dirty fucking piece of shit.
Well, that's what we all are. That's
my mantra.
We all have a memory of us as a child. Like, I know that my first day of kindergarten, which, by the way, my parents didn't send me to preschool, which fucked me.
Really?
I don't know why.
See, my parents sent me. That fucked me. Didn't like it.
This is like Costanza with the, of course, I'm the product of my parents having stayed together. But I just did you have this feeling? Because I remember Chappelle talked about this on Inside the Actors. This, by the way, this is the most an interviewer will ever talk. Just a heads up.
Okay.
You're not going to get a word in.
No, I love it.
But when I went to kindergarten, I heard Chappelle talk about this, it felt like everybody knew each other. They had all met each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you have that feeling?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And they sent me to preschool, and I remember not that me and my mom weren't cool at the time. We were very, I was with her all the time, but it wasn't until she tried to leave that I remember freaking the fuck out.
I did the same thing.
And I remember, like, I can literally see it so clearly. I can see the door to the classroom. I can see those, you remember the foam puzzles?
Yeah,
you put a dinosaur in, and they were like, like puzzle pieces.
Yes.
But they were made of foam. I remember them standing me over one of those. I can see the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I can smell the apple juice. I can smell her perfume and the cigarettes and the gum, and me just like grabbing onto her and not wanting to go, and then her leaving and being like, fuck.
I have the exact same memory, Conley School, Whitman, Massachusetts, and the same thing going, I can't even fucking believe you're going to walk out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know these people. I don't know where you're going. And it felt like, I also felt like nobody explained to me. Like, these are good people. They're nice. They care about you. They're professionals, whatever.
Maybe they did. And you forget that stuff. But I don't think they did. And my parents had iced me once before. This wasn't a first time thing. My grandmother had gotten sick. So this was maybe like a few months, a year before this. My grandmother had gotten sick. They sent my brother to my one aunt and uncle who we were close with. I got sent to, I don't even think they were my fucking cousins. They were like cousins removed.
Oh.
They sent me up to the Lipfords. I don't know where the fuck this place was. It was out in the woods. They had like 10 kids. I remember a Pink Floyd t-shirt on a teenager, and I was sleeping on a pull-out couch in the living room.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that one bit.
Dude, they left me there for like 3 months, which to a little, like a kid, a toddler, it felt like this was it.
Yeah, 3 months. That's fucked.
Wild.
Yeah. Well, I
but my grandmother was dying, and they just couldn't do it.
Sure, I understand. I mean, that's what's hard. Now I have a kid myself who you just met, and it's scary because you're like, what am I gonna do?
Solid guy. I wouldn't leave him in a church somewhere.
No, I would, and I felt bad when he got shots today. I'll get 17 messages about that. You fucking gave your kid a shot, you fucking piece of shit.
Everybody's got to. It's when you're a kid, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you die if you don't.
Yeah, polio and all that stuff.
You got to knock out the polio, but. Anyways, you feel that thing because you're like, is he going to see me? Is this the last thing he sees? And then he's going to get a jab in his leg and he's going to be like, you fucking piece of shit.
I could tell you something else about that if you want to hear it.
Of course I want to hear
Brother threw me into a bedpost when I think I was just after kindergarten. I got the scar right here. They brought me into the emergency room and they had this thing. I can't remember what it was called. It has a name. It looks like a life preserver that's nailed to the table. They strapped me in it so they could do the thing. I remember looking at my mom and dad. I never forgave them for it.
Oh,
brutal.
It's so.
It was like being tortured. It was like an alien abduction. Just like no, I don't want to do it.
It's traumatic. I
was a scared little kid.
I was too, and I feel similarly. And I remember getting, and I think it's changed now, but being tested for allergies. And I don't know if you ever had that, but the allergy test was 24 pricks up each arm. They had to test you for 48 things.
As a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, they weren't doing that.
As like 6 or 7, and they would just like, ka, 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 ka. And I was like, ah! And it was fucking horrible. And They kind of, I think, and God bless my parents, I think they just didn't have the tool. And you kind of were like, you're a baby, just relax. And no one was explaining that, like, this pain is temporary, it'll go away.
Sure.
And they weren't empathetic to my fears and anxiety and how traumatic this was. And also, I realized only years later that they're terrified of everything.
I was going to ask you
they should have been empathetic.
Do you feel like they put some of that fear in you?
Of course, yeah. In fact, I have, I found these, my mother's notes. I saw like a childhood therapist in 1989, so I was 7. And one of the things she wrote down, like the therapist had said to her, was like, we need to have less adult conversation, keep our fears to ourselves to prevent him from having them. Nobody ever protected me from that. They would talk about how they were scared of losing the house financially.
Sure.
So that was in my head of like, oh my God, we're not going to have a house.
Sure.
And like robbers. And if we drove through, you know, a bad neighborhood, it would like roll them up, lock the window. And so you have this thing of like, oh, gee, someone's going to come into our house and come into the car and take me.
Yeah. And
so,
I think a good amount of people it affects to a certain degree, but not really. And then there's a small amount of people that it really, it seeps into. We would go out to dinner when I was a kid. My parents did okay. They weren't, you know, we were probably lower middle class, maybe middle class as I got to high school. But every time we went out to dinner, from conversations that they would have or that I would overhear, I was like, we're not going to be able to pay for dinner. And to this day, I always make sure I have like actual cash in my pocket so that if the credit cards don't work, that I can pay for dinner.
Yeah, there was
a fucking deep-seated anxiety.
I feel the same way. That same kind of feeling of like, I remember getting like.
Let me tell you, keep them away, Joe. Keep them away from them. That's my
parent, my grandparent.
Everybody. I'm telling you right now,
that's going to put a fear of everybody to him.
No, you just don't let him know that and you keep it calm, cool, and collected.
But yeah, I remember the news would be on, would watch the news, and I think, too, they'd be like, it's good, the kid gets the news, you know. But I think I talked about this on a previous episode. I mean, like, Reginald Denny happened, and I was like, what's going on here?
Ebola.
It's just like, the guy, they pulled him out of a truck, and they hit him with a brick.
Yeah,
what?
Dude.
He's just driving through, and you're like, that's crazy.
How old were you when that was
92. So I was 10.
That was 92. Wasn't that after the OJ verdict?
No. That the OJ verdict.
The LA riots were before the
the OJ verdict. There was because the OJ verdict was in response to the 92. The 92
riots were
what's his nose? Rodney King.
Yeah, Rodney King.
Rodney King guys got off and everything went crazy.
Okay.
But I remember being 10 and being like, ah.
Sure.
And then I think I just told all these stories, but during the 93 World Series featuring your Philadelphia Phillies. Are you a baseball guy at all?
Of course.
So
Toronto Blue Jays.
Exactly. So during that World Series, so it was October 93, so I was 11, my uncle, who's 5 years older than me, which we've discussed on your show,
had it all riding on the Jays. I can't get over it.
They got jumped down the street like by 3 guys.
In Philly or in Toronto?
No. We were I just know the game was on because I was watching the game.
Okay.
This is in Whitman, Massachusetts.
Okay.
What do you think? We went on a family trip to Toronto?
Serves you right.
Well, there's no passports in my family. I have the one and only passport in my 35-person family.
Nice.
They're not going anywhere.
Nice. I got mine 2 years ago. Was the first time I got a passport.
You went to Paris, didn't you?
Yeah.
We talked Paris.
Yeah.
But any fart. So I'm watching the World Series. I'm 11, and they come busting in the door. They all got jumped. And nobody ever sat me down and was like, this kind of happens, but it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen to you. Don't worry.
Sure.
There was no explanation. It was just, I'm just like overhearing, like, they were walking on my street and men, Jerry. Men with jobs.
What was the story? They were talking shit. It wasn't like
No. It was just they were walking. I think there was like an attempt at like, I don't know if they just wanted to beat people up. It was. I assume it was teenagers.
This was on the street that you grew up on?
Yeah.
I didn't know you grew up in such a tough part of town.
Well, I grew up next to Brockton, which is a city. It's kind of like a gritty city, home of Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Rocky Marciano.
There you go.
So it's not like, certainly not like ghetto or some shit. It wasn't like, it was just like a very blue collar town next to a city. So these guys, they just
How old was your uncle?
He's 5. He must have been 16, and then my cousin was 15.
Okay.
And these guys, the guys that jumped in were probably 20, I would guess, 19.
I gotcha.
I never saw them. But it was more of like they jumped out from behind the bushes. Hey, fuck you. Like just kids wilding or whatever. It wasn't like guns, knives kind of thing.
Every time you see Joe Carter, you wet your pants. You shit yourself.
Touch them all, Joe. And I'm like, I want to know which of us had a more traumatic World Series. Was that devastating to you?
Not so much at the time. I love this team now. Like
Okay.
I love this Phillies team now, and I've always loved them. You know, Mike Schmidt, all that kind of stuff. Pete Rose. That was, you know, it was heartbreaking, but at the time I didn't really know that much better as far as like, all right, you know, they did pretty good, and you know, all the guys are fucking awesome, and
Right.
you know, they're all cool and rock stars, and Dykstra and Dalton and everybody.
John Kruk.
You know, and everybody, it seemed like that was a really good era to hate somebody. And Mitch Williams just took so much heat for it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you had like him, you had Rocker, you had like guys that like, you know, for some reason the other team or if the fan base on the team turned on you, they could really hate them.
Yeah, that was
brutal.
That was fun. I mean, a few years earlier, the Red Sox met. I was a kid, but I remember like Darryl Strawberry was like a heel.
Yeah.
It was like this young guy who was, you know, probably just a sweet boy, but he was hitting home runs at Fenway. So everyone hated him.
Even at that age, I mean, the Mets were so cool at the time. You know, Doc Gooden and Strawberry. It's like, yeah, you couldn't hate them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you
as,
could up
as
there.
A kid from Philly, sure.
Yeah, we
no, I
certainly
get it.
did. But anyways, so all those fears and anxiety were put in me. And then my mother's just a hyper anxious person. I realized years later my dad has like panic disorder and everything.
Sure.
And it's all
funny,
scary
very similar.
as a kid. Yeah.
When they hear this kind of stuff, was I that bad? Was it that terrible? I heard you talking about that.
Lord, I hope they don't
that?
listen to this podcast. No, I think my parents are good
I mean, I'm
about.
sure this has had to come up. This has to cross their radar.
I don't know, because I told that go-kart story and they never bring that up. I don't know what goes on there. I also
Probably scared of you.
I also had that, which, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't come up. We don't talk about too many things, and I don't put this stuff on that. It's an interesting conversation, but I'm never like, you guys fucked me, because they did the best they can. My therapist is always like, you got to confront them, which I don't really understand. Do you go to therapy? Are you a therapy guy?
I don't. I tried it 2 summers ago, and I've dabbled in BetterHelp. Shout out to them.
They might be sponsoring this episode.
There you go.
Hey, folks, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We even mention it in the episode. That's how much we love BetterHelp. You know I love therapy. We've all gone out on that date we really didn't want to go on, to that family dinner we weren't in the mood for. It's time to set boundaries with BetterHelp. This whole show is talking about therapy. Therapy changed my life. I need therapy. You need therapy. It's so much easier to do than it's ever been. BetterHelp's online therapy is incredible. Their licensed therapists can help you work through life's difficulties, take better care of yourself, both mentally and physically, and spend your life the way you want to. I'm going to therapy tomorrow morning. You know about Alan. I talk about it. If you listen to this show, you know I love my therapist. I need my therapist. And I told Foley on the episode, he needs to go to therapy. He tried it once before. He should go back. We all should go back. I don't mean him specifically. Everyone can benefit from this, including you, and it's never been easier. BetterHelp is totally online and suited to your schedule. Set your own appointment dates and times and meet with your therapist by phone call, video call, or even messages. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/metal today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/metal, METAL. Do it.
But no, I haven't. When I was in... I didn't have any of this shit when I was a kid. As far as like figuring it out, I didn't know what it was. I had, you know, horrible anxiety and panic attacks. I also had acid reflux since I can remember and had no idea.
Wow.
I would just eat like a hot dog and just be like, ugh, and nobody ever said anything until I was in like college. That we figured it out that I had that. And they also figured out that, hey, this kid's a little stupid and there's something wrong with him. So they sent me to get some tests done in college because I was flunking out of school. And then they got me with a therapist in my hometown who was actually great. And
nice.
I looked him up not that long ago to see if he was still working, but I couldn't find him. But he was really good. I feel like I need somebody that can like help me in a step-by-step process through this, because the person that I saw 2 summers ago just listened, and I was just rambling.
Right.
It's like I need fucking tell me how to tie my shoes.
I feel,
and I don't even know if that's the right thing. Like I'm pretty ass backwards with all this, and I'm pretty far gone. But I keep it together.
Of course, yeah. Well, you seem like just a happy-go-lucky guy that everyone's like, all right.
Sure, yeah.
But
no, it's
we all wear masks.
We all wear masks, and I was the young. And this isn't an excuse. And my parents were the greatest parents of all time, and I loved them to death. I would live at home now if I could. Like the pandemic, when the pandemic happened, me and my girl stayed up here for 2 months, and then we stayed down at my parents for 3 months because, nice suburban house. They got the pool, the family. It was the happiest time I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
I swear to God, those 3 months, happiest time I've ever been in my life. No gun to the back of my head from comedy. After 11 years of doing it, that went away overnight.
Right.
No, what's he doing? What did he get that? Why did he get that? That all went away. We were just starting to do the pod. We were having fun. It was the best. But I didn't handle the vibe they were throwing out very, very well. It really, really got to me, and it was in me. And my brother responded a little bit better, but I don't want to shit on them, but it got me pretty bad. Same shit you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's
from
hard.
They're going to take the house to we're not going to be able to pay for dinner to the medical stuff. Just I go to worst case scenario all the time.
Same, yeah.
One time I had a fever and I was laying on my couch, probably, 83, 84. My mom comes over and takes the thermometer out of my mouth, and she literally in front of me, she's like, oh my God, like hit me with one of those, dude, because my fever was like 102.
Cancer, get out of here.
Dude, I feel that in my bones to this day. Just being like, hey, pull it back a little bit, will you?
Right. No, I had that.
But she didn't do it on purpose.
Yes.
Just, she had trauma and he had trauma, and it just went down the line. That's why I was half joking, keep the kid away.
Well, it is, and it's their own trauma. And there's a great book I recommend, I've talked about here before, is called It Didn't Start With You, which is a book about how, like, your family lines trauma, like your grandparents
shit gets in your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
It's deep in you. Like your grandfather may have fought in the war or whatever, and so it goes to your parents.
For sure.
It goes to you.
No, I know my grandmother was like that, and my dad was in Vietnam, so that we saw the firsthand effects of that. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I've said it a couple times. But when my mom would be working at night when we were young, he would just turn all the lights off in the house and put the floodlights on and just bring us down in front of the window, and we would just sit and look out for about an hour or two.
And what was his?
He was, looking to see if anybody was coming in.
Wow,
that was his thing. He was on a PBR base in Vietnam in 1971 to 1972. And when he first got there was a shitload of people there. But like the last 6 months that he was there, it was like him and 15 guys and a bunch of South Vietnamese.
Wow.
And he wasn't like in the shit, but I think the reoccurring fear was getting overrun or taken out every night.
Yeah, of course. And so that fear naturally is going into you. He would just put the
floodlights on.
Yeah, so you're living your life thinking like this is all, everything's going to fucking go to shit.
In the middle of the Cosby Show here. I got a fucking pudding pop in my hand. All of a sudden I'm fucking running point. Yeah, it fucking freaked me out.
Yes, I felt similarly, not to that degree, but that feeling of like something is going to happen and I'm not going to be able to protect myself. And it's only now in the last couple of years that I'm like realizing, going back to the core beliefs thing, is like I think I'm inept and incapable of handling anything or doing anything. I still like when somebody's like, send this.
I feel the same way about myself.
When somebody's like, can you sign this and send it back to me? My life comes apart.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. I call Sarah. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Fuck me. I'm fucked. I just can't do it.
I drive Kevin crazy on the podcast. If for some reason I get an email regarding the podcast or I have to respond to somebody regarding the podcast, I'm double. Should I say question mark this? Should I say this? He's like, dude, just fucking send it.
Right. Yeah. It's hard, but I realize I'm better than some because Sarah, my beloved wife, your friend, she'll like be like, Diane said happy birthday. What should I write back? I'm not kidding. I'm like drafting text for her. I'm like
the worst, man.
Like, this is your friend to 20 years.
You gotta have a rock. What are you talking about?
We had she was trying to get her friend to babysit. I called.
Did you
she
know
was like,
that
how do I word this?
Did you know that when you and Sarah got together, did that expose itself over time?
No, I mean I knew that, I suppose, but
I kind of thought my girl was like, she's on top of stuff, and she does like logistics and all this stuff for work and stuff like that. But then she'll hit me with something, and I'll be like, you got to handle that shit.
Right. I think
we get married, you're going to be handled. I don't know how to do any of that shit. I'm an idiot.
Well, that's what's helpful now. Now, Sarah and I are married, obviously, and she's good about taking tax stuff. She understands some of that stuff. Like, I just take all my W-9s, whatever. I'm like, there, you do something with that.
I love that.
Take care of that. I don't know what the fuck.
Were you babied at all as a kid?
I think so. So my mother had, and maybe she doesn't want me saying this, my mother... There was like a kid between my older sister and me that didn't work out, whatever. He didn't fucking blossom. She didn't have the kid.
Oh, okay.
She lost a baby, like a pregnancy.
Okay.
And so I think after that, she was like, oh my God, I wanted that baby. My God.
Like he went to work for another company or something like that.
Well, he was a nom himself. They needed babies in 73. No, so she was really paranoid about, so I think she really like tried to baby me a lot. And there wasn't a lot of like, go out and do that. Go run around. Try that. I learned to swim very late. I was afraid of heights, and my mother is an extremely fearful person, like extremely.
Yeah,
panic
so that's
attack,
where it comes from.
Afraid of. They don't travel much. They don't eat much. They don't go places.
Gotcha.
My parents don't swim. So when I was a kid, and then they sent me.
In a pool or in the ocean?
I think my dad, doesn't know how to swim.
Really?
And my mother, I think, can swim. They'll get in the ocean. I mean, not in the ocean. They'll get in like a pool knee deep.
You're making the Foleys look good.
Now
I'm glad I stopped by.
Now I think this all the time. I'm a miracle because I'm like an ocean guy. I'm let's go to a high.
I know how to swim really well.
But do you go in the ocean now?
I do. I'm scared, but I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Petrified.
We don't, as Jerry Simon would say, we don't belong in there.
No.
We don't belong in the sky. We don't belong in the ocean, but it's a beautiful spiritual place to me.
That's another thing as a kid, the rip current. And my dad, no, the rip current's going to get you. And also when I was a kid, I felt like every year some kid broke their neck body surfing, and there was always a change cup at like the grocery store,
right, with the black and white printed photo.
Yeah, for Tommy Giancani or whoever it was, and then they see you got to be careful. You do that stuff, so I always thought I was going to snap my neck or break something.
Yeah, I remember this is slightly off track, but I remember watching Webster, and he had two older kids, break in the house when his parents were away, and it like fucked me up. And it's like something you can't even protect a kid from that. Webster, it's a show for children. No, it's not a kid's show, but
No, I got you.
And they came in the house, and it was like, that's a possibility now. Someone's going to break in my house.
I saw It way too young.
Same here.
Just on TV. That was a TV movie.
Yes.
Is that the craziest shit you ever heard in your life?
No, that fucking destroyed my life.
Random Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm flipping through NBC. I was probably maybe 12 or 13. And man, that Tim Curry. Whew, I didn't know it was him.
I didn't either. That's the other thing. When later you find out, you're like, oh, that's just an actor who acts in movies.
No, that was a demon that was coming to get me.
You're fucking
the second that the lights went out.
That, and also, I did this as a joke years ago. I hate myself. Special. My Aunt Betty would babysit me, and she was obsessed with horror, and she would say, yeah, every time I go to the bathroom, I check behind the shower curtain because I'm afraid someone's going to be back there. And
was she single?
Yes.
You throw a single middle-aged aunt in the mix in that as a kid, you got no shot. I had a couple of those floating around. They were fearful people.
Yeah, and she said that, and
but
so
the best.
I compulsively looked behind the shower curtain. And quick side note, I've told this story many times. I stopped when I was about 16 years old. I stopped looking behind the shower curtain.
You nuts.
And the night of 9/11, It's 2001. I went into the bathroom at like 10 p.m. and
Muhammad Atta standing right there looking at me.
Fucking instinctively, or not instinctively, like subconsciously pulled the shower curtain back, and I had a moment where I was like, "That's crazy," but that's how jarring 9/11. I don't want to go on a whole 9/11.
No, 100%.
But it was like, oh man, that was like that pulled out like some deep-seated fucking childhood fear.
Sure.
But anyways, yeah, I was afraid there was a person, and we grew up in a small.
First couple minutes of Halloween. Sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
That was brutal. The Wizard of Oz. I mean, the fact that they're showing that to children is crazy.
I was terrified of that. Both the monkeys and the witch was scary.
The witch. I would see that broad. I would look outside my window when I was going to bed, and I could see her on that bike. I could just waiting for her face to pop into the window.
Yeah, it was fucked up. She was really
Crazy.
scary, and monkeys taking your buddy away and just being like, what? It was.
You realize it was just bad costume design.
It was
bad technology at the time.
I would shit my pants at that movie, and I had my uncle who was like an older brother, and they would just show me shit, Tales from the Crypt and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and they would tell you the stories and just fuck with you. And that's who I was getting left with, was like cousins.
Sure.
And it's fun for a kid to fucking ruin a smaller kid's life. And that's how they see you, by the way. They're like, we had it made, and then your baby ass showed up and got all the attention, so fuck you.
Of course. Yeah, we did the same thing to my younger cousin. I think she's probably 6 or 7 years younger than me. And she was petrified of Chucky. And all we had to do was just say Chucky. So when we were like 13 and she was 5, that's all we did. Chucky's coming. Woo! Freak out.
We also I saw Candyman in the movie theater. And can we get a look up on what year that movie came out? I want to say 93.
Okay.
And I was 10 or 11, and the Westavers would take it. Eric Westaver and Sherry Westaver, his sister, they were all going. And my parents just went, great. They probably were like, we can get laid and have a couple cocktails because this piece of shit's out of the house.
Do a little worrying while Joe's gone.
So I went out and I went and saw this movie where you say a name and a fucking crazy guy
Shows up.
and stabs you in the mirror or whatever.
Bloody Mary.
92. I'm 10
92?
years old. Bloody Mary. Yeah.
Another one. Yeah. What does
Fuck.
that mean? Are we just pussies or what's the story?
I think we weren't properly protected.
Just as comedians, a lot of people don't talk about this stuff. We put, we put it out there a little bit. You know what I mean?
This show's about putting it out there, folks.
Not putting it out there, baby.
But
Wearing your heart on your sleeve. If that's wrong, I don't want to be right.
But I think some people have parents. I just talked about this. I was in the airport recently with Sarah. I forgot where we were going. And there was a guy, and I don't recommend this.
Scared to fly?
No, I've never had that. It's funny because I have...
You're cool.
Turbulence does not faze me whatsoever.
See, that's nuts.
Yeah, I flew private a bunch with Louis, and it was like...
Is that worse? When the plane's
It's a much smaller plane, so it moves a lot more.
Yikes.
And we had a flight where Louis was going nuts, Rachel Feinstein, Joe Machi, all three of them were like, ah!
Really?
And it just does not...
Die with Louis, though. That's pretty sweet.
But, well, you're not going to get much of a mention in
Other
there.
comedians.
And some other dick. But it was like a fucking Buddy Holly, and it just doesn't... But those things
That
to me,
scared the shit out of me. Sorry to cut you off.
Buddy Holly?
Petrified me as a kid.
Richie!
Somebody told me the whole story. It was like my dad or something like that. I was like, man, hearing all that, Jim Croce, Harry Chapin, all those things. Otis
Denver.
Redding dying before the song became a hit. I was like, that oh man, brutal.
Yeah. No, I was terrified of dying. But to me, turbulence, they're like, oh, planes don't crash from turbulence. That's easy. No biggie.
Theoretically.
Doesn't happen. But car crashes happen, although I was never really afraid of. I mean, I drove drunk like a fucking idiot and with my friends drunk. Later on, I had a lot of alcohol, and that got less scary. But
it was the 90s.
I forget what else I was going to say. Something about fear or...
I'm sorry.
But this is what I was going to say. The airport, I was watching this guy, he had a fucking baby that he was holding like this. And I was talking about a baby, like 10 months old, 11 months old, who was strong enough to stand on it like 2 feet on his hand like this. Mm-hmm. And then the baby literally fell, or maybe he had two hands. Like he was kind of like doing this. The baby's standing on his hands, and he started to fall, and the guy just grabbed the baby's ankles and like let him fall like that. So the baby like fell backwards, and his dad just caught him by the ankles and held him upside down like that. And I watched this, and I'm like...
That freaked you out.
It freaked me out, but I'm like... that's a shitty father in my opinion. That's fucking too big of a gamble to be like cool dad. But I'm like, this kid won't be afraid of anything. This is going to be one of these guys that free solos fucking mountains like an asshole.
My dad was big on that stuff about holding the baby and it's something happening and don't get near that. And what are you doing? Where are you going to go? It's going to happen. You ever see Iron Weeds with Jack Nicholson?
I don't think I have.
It's set in the Depression.
Oh, no, I don't know this.
Saw that way too young, too. He drops the baby, and then he goes off and becomes like an alcoholic and a bum.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. I'm not touching a baby.
So it's hard. It's a hard balance to protect kids enough, but also not make them
that could be like
pussies.
that guy's second kid. You know what I mean? And he knows, and they're, whatever.
But still quite a gamble to be like, I'll catch him. But you're like, if you don't, your kid like dies.
That's crazy.
So, but I'm good with my niece and nephew who are kids. We went to Zion and we were climbing up rocks and my buddy was kind of freaking out. But, I'm like, just let him climb up the rock. And he's okay. And I'm here. And if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Like, you got to allow your kids to get hurt. For me, when I was a kid, the idea of one of us getting hurt was like, you'll get hurt. And you actually just have to get hurt.
Yeah, we got hurt a lot. We were like that, but we still were able to get hurt a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The leash was let go enough. And then when I got into like 11, 12, 13 years old, my parents were gone all day and we were like riding bikes on highways and stuff like that. But I was always scared.
Right.
But we still did it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I feel similarly.
I was a scaredy cat in the group.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't jump off the roof into the pool.
Right.
Even when there was girls around, everybody was doing it. I wouldn't jump off into the quarry on the high one because I was scared something would happen. And you map out everything in your brain of what's going to happen. You can see the ambulance coming and you can hear, you know what I mean? And
I still have that now with the baby of these obtrusive thoughts. You might have OCD. You ever get looked into that?
No, that sounds about right.
But because that's what I have.
Take your word for it.
I have it real bad. But I had the same thing, and I have it with the baby now where, like, I'll be walking, and it gets better as he gets older and stronger. But, like, when he was brand new, I'd be walking through the kitchen, and I have the actual vision of tripping, falling, his head fucking squishes on the ground, blood tricks out. I got to call Sarah and be like, just a heads up, baby's gone. We don't have a baby anymore, just so you know.
Hey, can you pick up some of those net carb tortillas on your way home?
Hi, folks. This episode of Mindful Mental Jacket is brought to you by Factor. Want to eat amazing food but don't want to spend forever preparing it? Try Factor. It takes just 2 minutes. That's right. That's the amount of time it's going to take me to read this ad. They send chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your door. All you have to do is heat them up. They have dozens of meal options to choose from and more than 60 add-on items to shake things up. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, counting calories, or keto, Factor has meals you'll love. I love Factor. They sent me this stuff. I came home to a giant box of food. You know me. I'm a dummy. I got bad core beliefs about myself. We talk about it in this episode. I feel inept. I feel like I don't know how to do anything. Factor makes it easy. Even I can do it. You just toss it in the microwave. Great meal. Corn on the cob, chicken. These are just foods I'm naming. I don't know. Pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor works with you and for you. Head to factormeals.com/metal, METAL 50, and use METAL50 to get 50% off. That's insane. 50% off. Do it right now. That's code METAL50 at factormeals.com/metal50 to get 50% off. Do that. I have a couple Chipotle gift cards, so it's all good. But, that stuff would flash your brain. And this is something that's changed now, which is scary because there's the helicopter parents and all that shit. But we were like, helicopter parents is parents that are hovering over.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't do that. And that's about having a kid. If I do have a kid, that is one thing that I'm going to be, especially like you're saying, those like the first 6 months.
Well, 6 months, I think it's okay.
I don't know how people step away from looking at him.
Well, I try to let him. I'll do it now.
You had to be freaking out.
I've been okay now. Like, my anxiety is much, much better than it's ever been by a long shot. But now he's 4.5 months, so he rolls over. So I will watch him from afar so he doesn't feel me in the room. Because I want him to have, he's so young, but you want him to feel some independence.
Gotcha.
But I'm there if something's gonna happen.
Plus, you
But
don't want to think you're a creep.
yeah.
It's this guy's problem.
By the way, I tried masturbating once when he was napping, like I'm in the other room, and you just hear like, and I was like this. All right, well that's the wrap on.
Jesus.
Well, for the first 6 weeks, you can't have sex because she had a C-section.
Okay.
So like week 3, she's exercising. He's
6
sound.
weeks? That's nothing.
He's-
I cruise right through that.
I'm like a camel.
My T is low.
So it's like he's sleeping. He's sound asleep. I'm over here in the living room. He's in the living room. I'm in the bedroom. But you still hear like a.
Yeah,
And I'm like this.
Mood killer.
Fuck me. God damn it.
This guy needs his own room. What's the deal?
6 weeks. That's lengthy. But you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Are you married?
No, engaged.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's fun.
Got engaged in November.
Nice. Oh, congrats.
Thanks, pal.
And you may have a kid?
I don't know. I'm 48. She's
Jesus.
in her late 30s. We talk about it, but we're not really doing much to actively, pursue it. I think, we're trying to take the proper steps, getting married and stuff like that. I don't know. I worry, I'm my weight and all that stuff. I don't want to check out on the kid when he's 15.
That's my big fear now myself.
Leave him on the streets of Queens.
That's how I feel.
Are you guys going to stay here? What's your plan?
We have no plan. I want to leave, but I don't know where to go. I want to get out of here, but
Plans suck, man.
plan is not good. Plan is bad. But it's hard because it's like her family's from Texas, and now Austin's this fucking thing, but I don't have my close friends there. And then my best friend and his wife, Erica, past guest, they live in Tacoma or Gig Harbor, which is like America's best town to raise a kid. And I love the Pacific Northwest, but it's a little far from the business we're in.
Right.
And then there's Jersey, Montclair or Jersey Shore, which I love.
I've gotten over the fantasy of like me and her moving out to Jersey and like, having like being friends with the neighbors and the neighbors coming over and like the kid in Little League. That shit's not going to happen.
Why? What? That's my fantasy. We can do it together. Come on, buddy.
I'm too old for that.
What are you talking about?
I thought about that and all that stuff, and I don't see it happening.
So what does that mean? You're too old. You got to live in Queens?
I think
you're too
so.
old for this. That's for young. That's for old. This is for young.
Maybe.
You got it all bad. Your rods and cones are all
Plus, I don't
screwed
know
up.
anybody out there. But all my family, all the generation below me, all the kids, they're all like in high school and shit.
You're right.
So if we do have a kid, my guy's going to be on his own, or girl's going to be on his own. But that's going to get to keep him away from all the crazy. Maybe the Foley line of crazy will stop.
This is how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's young. Yeah. It's tricky because you want friends. It takes a village, all that shit. And I got a lot of friends. I'm a keeper of many friends.
Sure.
As I was saying, sometimes I have people over Sunday, and I feel bad. I owe you an amends. I forget that you're down the street.
Don't be silly.
I know, but
You're
we'd love to
well-liked
have you.
guy.
Would love to have you, and I just
Thanks,
forget
pal.
who's over there. I mean, I have all the people living in the house, so everyone just comes across the hall or up the stairs.
Sure.
But we got to get you in that rotation.
Thanks, pal.
Fucked up. Does Kevin live here too?
He lives in Manhattan.
Excuse me.
Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That was all right.
So yeah, Stavros was over here the other day.
Stavy?
Stavy baby.
The numbers are starting to dwindle a little bit out here in the store,
Well, people are very successful. Shane's out. Tommy Pope is out.
The boys are out.
Well, Shane just took everybody with him.
Yeah.
Now, you guys ever think about heading south?
Pretty fun down there, I'll tell you that.
It's a good time.
Good time down there in Austin, Texas.
Oh boy, you're going next.
Now we got a lease and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's.
I'm like, I couldn't as I don't know how far away from my family I could move.
That's how I feel.
Does that make sense?
Of course. I mean, we're the same guy. We're chips off the old.
Like if it was up to me, because my dad passed a couple years ago, I would have my mom up here. I never living back there or something.
In this little spot right here?
Spot back there. I would love that.
Right. Yeah,
well, go with the cutlets and the laundry and all that stuff.
Now, are you Irish? Is this a big Irish family? Yeah, because that's a very big Irish thing as well. Like I am as well. And it's like you have like 50 Scottish Irish. You have 30 people at the house. I always thought this was funny when people were like, I got my family reunion this weekend. And I was like, family reunion? We're together every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
and
we've done one. We did one of them, but yeah, everyone's around each other all the time.
Oh, my family lives like 350 yards apart from each other.
I love that.
And Sunday, it was not an option of like, maybe we'll come out like Sunday. And it shaped a big part of my life. That was the beautiful thing about my family was every Sunday, everyone was there. And I'm talking like 28 people, 30 people.
It's the best.
Sitting around, bullshitting, playing football, the whole thing, wiffle ball. And my family, we were always roofing someone's house or paving someone's driveway or fixing someone's car or whatever. And it was just like a very
going over to
communist
see
thing.
the new refrigerator or the new washer and dryer.
Yeah. It's like, we got to paint Da's house. And everyone just went, no one was like, fuck that. I got to fucking, okay, we got to go over there.
Boston Amish.
But because I learned this, Sarah's family is a bit different. They one time we had a, hope she doesn't mind me telling this story, but it was like a window into her upbringing. She had like a sketch show. This is in Austin. We were all waiting for like a table at some restaurant, which is like a 40-minute wait, which my family doesn't do that.
Okay.
If they're like, it's a 10-minute wait, we're like, fucking take care. We're off to Burger King. Fuck your mother. But we were waiting, and Sarah's like, I got to go buy a water gun or whatever for the show. And we didn't have a car, and there was like 300 people that had cars, and we took a lift. And I was like, taking a lift? We got in the lift, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, no one's going to drive us, and we couldn't borrow their car? She's like, oh, no, my family doesn't do that. And I was like,
it's always weird.
that's insane.
It's insane.
My family's like fighting over whose car. No, take my car. No, I got the Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to
Uncle
need
Mike's
the thing.
right there. Let's go. We're getting the LeSabre.
So,
Get you down there.
I say these things about my family, but I want to add that it's like my family would do anything, and not just for our family. They'd do anything for you. You come up, they're like, what kind of pizza do you want? What kind of soda? What kind of beer?
Same
whatever.
thing. I don't want to see. I honestly, I would not want to be anybody else. I know that sounds weird, but like, and I know that's just because this is all I know, but my parents were unbelievable. My childhood was unbelievable. I feel so lucky for the family that I had around me, for, the time that I grew up, the friends that I had, everything. I would not want to take it away for anything. And yeah, they're salt of the earth people.
Yeah, I feel very similarly, except not wanting to change. I want to be Shane Gillis, but
Shout out to the young bull.
No, I mean, I'm just kidding, of course. No, I feel the same way. It's like I loved when I grew up. I love where I grew up. And I go back there, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm from here. I go up for Patriots Day, which I didn't realize till I was 25 is our own holiday that nobody else celebrates.
So is the crippling anxiety and the mental illness worth it, is the question.
Don't get me wrong.
I say it is.
I'd rather not have that, but I also am like a big into...
You also want to be able to borrow your uncle's car if you got to go get a squirt gun.
Yes, and it also taught me that the importance of being of service. That's what your life is, or should be, and looking out for other people, and also taking care of other people who need it. Because, I have a lot of people I know and am close with who you're like, well, why don't we just give them the money? We don't need, and they're like, what are you talking about? Why would we give them money or whatever? And you're like, oh, you came from a different thing.
You're a cheapskate. Fair enough.
Everybody's like, I think I know who this is about. But that I'm proud of that, and I love that. But yeah, I would rather not have crippling mental illness. I think I would be a lot more
that'd be
successful.
pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to have like I told you before, like it's a weird mix of confidence or arrogance and, crippling low self-esteem. And what's the other one? Low self-esteem and lack of confidence.
Yeah.
It's a strange mix of it.
That's your core belief.
I guess.
CBT, baby.
Yeah.
Because I think that I'm like...
Not the biggest penis, too. That kind of jammed me up.
That's tough.
A lot of importance on that.
Penis is big. Well, yeah, you don't realize that till later. Well, I also... This business doesn't help because you don't realize till later that you're like, your forehead sucks, your neck sucks, your jaw sucks, your teeth suck, and you're like this, wasn't aware of that. I guess I'll think about that for a while.
Pretty rude, but okay.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We were shooting this movie for your boy Rubinoff, my boy, our boy.
Shout out to Sammy Rubes.
Sammy Rubes. Going to premiere at the Netflix. Are you guys doing the Netflix thing?
We're not doing it.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So
out there in La La Land.
I love La La Land.
Hollywood.
I love that episode and that city.
Kramer, what the hell are you talking about?
I'm doing what I'm doing. I always do what I do, and I'm doing what I do. What's this, Dill?
Tarragon.
It's enough already with the bar. People do meet in other places other than the bar.
Cops eat Milanos?
We
can do this all day.
We were doing that. I did the Tonight Show Monday. We were doing that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was fun. But we were doing that. Matt Wayne and I. You know Matt Wayne?
I don't know Matt Wayne.
Oh, my God. One of the great hangs.
Yeah?
You got to get in the Matt Wayne train. This man, he can do Seinfeld with the best of them.
Look pretty sharp in that suit. I'll tell you that, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Is that a new one or is that the old tried and true?
Brand new. Went out and bought it.
Brand new.
Paul Smith. Got it tailored. Spent the entire check. Now, this is pure white trash.
Real sharp suit.
The entire budget of what I got paid, right down the
That's
shitter.
what it's all about.
You just take that money, you just shift it right over to Bloomingdale's. You take that. I don't need that. But yeah, I got it all tailored up nice. I had to grease the tailor.
Something fun about spending one check, though. On the
It's
whole
fun.
thing. Yeah, it's great.
It's fun. I talk about this all the time. I think people think when you're on TV, you're getting paid like $75,000. You're not. But yeah,
At one time,
bought the suit, felt good, but Matt Wayne and I kept doing the. It's enough already with the bar. People do meet in other places. Have I got a case for you for LA Law?
oh man.
So I'm watching your cat for a couple of days. And then the best is the button when he goes, I just had an amazing conversation.
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. We're talking about Seinfeld here if you haven't figured this out. I always tell the audience, family, friends, if I start saying something that sounds like I had a stroke and you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about,
It's Seinfeld.
It's Seinfeld or Goodfellas.
Yeah. There's not that many that we know. I know me, Kippy, you, Norman, Donnelly, Fury.
Fury, yes. Matt Wayne's another one.
Matt Wayne.
And Gulman, you don't see him around as much, but Gulman is a pretty
Is he?
autistically Seinfeldian guy.
I don't know Goldman that well enough to do that. I'd love to go back and forth with Goldman with some Seinfelds.
Yeah, he's got some good ones, but it's a special.
You ever try to slip one by Jerry if you were ever in his company?
No, I think he doesn't like that.
Probably wouldn't be so receptive, yeah.
Well, I've listened to Jerry on, and I've been around Jerry a couple times, but never like a conversation. And are you laughing because of the Chris D story? You know the Chris D story?
No, I was just laughing because it's just funny being around them and not being able to say anything.
Well, my Chris Stefano story, this is brutal. This was at Colin Quinn's. So Colin Quinn's a very close friend of mine and close with Jerry. So
okay.
And I was at Colin's wedding and Jerry and I were dancing next to each other at the wedding.
Nice.
And when he turned his back, I did do the Elaine for a second, which was
Little
fun.
Kicks. How long ago was this?
That was 2018, maybe 2019.
So not that long ago.
Not that long ago. And then I hosted Gotham.
CQ wait until later. Shout out to
Oh yeah,
I
much
like
later.
it.
I think he was married young also, very briefly. But that may not be public domain, but whatever. But and then I hosted for Burr at Gotham one time, and Jerry did a guest spot. So I brought Jerry up.
Okay.
And then him and I stood in the back and watched Burr next to each other. But I'm never going to be like, how about that bit? You
never say anything.
No.
Never. And when you see comics that do, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Unless they've seen you on stage murder, I wouldn't open my fucking mouth at all.
I've been successful with bigger, more successful people by just kind of sitting there quietly, which that's my Nick DiPaolo story, which is a great story too. I don't know if you ever heard that story.
No. You always keep it zipped.
I'll give you both stories quickly.
Hit me.
The Nick DiPaolo was, and I've told this many places, so I apologize for repeating if anyone's already heard it, but my friend Owen Bonus. Did you ever know Owen Bonus?
No.
I think he's out of the comedy game.
You making these guys up list?
I swear to God. Bob Sacramento.
Yeah, sure.
He sells T-shirts by the World Trade Center.
His buddy Jay Riemenschneider eats horse all the time. He gets it from his butcher.
I bet he acted all aloof like he didn't know me. A little. That is so Franco. So any farts, I'm supposed to open for Nick DiPaolo at the Comedy Connection. I couldn't do the Thursday. I had some college gig or corporate. So Owen Bonus fills in.
Okay.
Owen Bonus is in the green room with Nick, and he goes, so Nick, when did you get started? Nick goes, shut up. We're not girls. We don't need to force a conversation. So Owen,
awesome.
God bless him, he calls me, and he goes, don't try to talk to this guy. He's a fucking maniac.
That's funny. I did a pilot with DiPaolo. I did the same thing. Didn't say a word to him. Eventually, he came up to me. He was like, you a comic? I'm like, yeah. He was cool as shit.
He loves it. So we did a whole weekend together, and I just sat with my hands folded, and at the end of the weekend, he goes, I like you. You keep to yourself. It's so Italian. Yeah. He goes, you keep to yourself. You got good jokes. You want to go on the road? And I said, sure. We went on the road for 10 years.
That's
that's
awesome.
all my...
Yeah.
And it was only like a year in that I'm like, what are you talking about? Death penalty doesn't work, you fucking moron.
Sure.
It doesn't deter anybody.
Sure.
And then we had, since then we've had a wonderful relationship.
Yeah.
But anyways, And then the Seinfeld story was.
I saw real quick.
Please take your time. I'm just telling my own stories. To my guests.
A big comic brought an even bigger comic over to a club that I was working at in the city. All right, and there was a bunch of younger comics in there, and somebody within 2 seconds walked up to them and was like, "Hey, can I bounce a joke off of you?"
Yeah,
dude, I wanted to crawl into the fucking liquor bottles. It was like, ugh, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's tough, and I don't
zip it.
I don't know what people
Then that gives everybody
there.
a bad name. Then you hear them talking like, "Oh, these young guys, they think they're this and that and the other thing."
Yeah, you blew it for everybody.
Yeah,
but you gotta. But I also say, if you feel that you love a comic that you get to meet, go ahead and tell them. Like, some people are like, I think he's the greatest ever, but I don't want to say anything. It'll look weird. But I'm like, no, people want to hear that you like them.
Well, see, I don't know if I should say this, but when you had Louis on Are You Garbage, we played it real cool, but I did chunk it a little bit at the end when you guys were leaving, because the 3 late night episodes, I say this all the time, the 3 late night episodes, I watch them every couple of weeks. When he tried to take over the late show.
Yeah.
The Gary Marshall, the David Lynch, the speech that Gary Marshall gives him, I have memorized. And I think about it all the time. You're a circling failure in a rapidly decaying orbit. And I remember not peers or anything like that, but we were holding it together, right?
Of course.
We were professional.
That was great.
And then right at the end there, I was like, how long did it take Gary Marshall to get that and did it? And he was not feeling it, man.
No, I think he was probably, he's weird with podcasts. He doesn't
I don't
get the
blame him. I would have been like,
thing.
get away from me, you fat weirdo.
He doesn't understand podcasts as much. He's
and
like,
I think I might have done
crazy.
this a couple of times. Like, it was, dude, like that speech was unbelievable.
No, he loved it. Everybody loves it. Everybody wants somebody to say that was fucking amazing. That's what we all want. That's why we're fucked up. Enough people didn't do that for us.
He told me to walk away from him. He spit in my eye.
Kramer, you are wanted as a serial killer.
What? Get me out of here by lunch. Sorry, you were going to tell me the stuff.
Basically, I'll just toss it out there real quick. I can already hear the comments being like, "Let Foley talk, you piece of shit." What's wrong?
I
with
love
you?
this. What are you talking about? Joe List, ladies and gentlemen. What are you kidding me?
It's my show.
Before that, okay, fine. Comics like to hear that. I got up here in 2013, 2 of the most brutal fucking winters back to back, 13 and 14. They were unbelievable. I lived in an apartment here in Astoria by the Burger King on 35th Street. My life was not in a good spot. I was doing open mics, doing improv open mics, taking the subway, crying on the subway, no money, caught up, still doing drugs that I shouldn't be doing, fucking working, brutal. Used to sit in my room with chains that I got and went and got like $1 hamburgers from Burger King, and I'd sit there and I'd listen to Tuesdays with Stories.
Oh, wow.
With Joe List and Mark Norman. And I'd be like, God. Man, and we would talk, me and the boys would talk about it, me and Kippy, be like, man, those guys are doing it, man. Opening for this one, out with that one, the stories.
Oh, I'm so touched.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
Love you,
thank
pal.
you. Wow, I love you. I mean, first of all, we have such a beautiful lineup of comics that listen. We have a fan email from Stavros. And he's like, "Hey boys, it's me. My name's Stavros. I'm an open micer in Baltimore."
No way.
Yeah. We have like a beautiful letter from him. And then Gillis was also like a huge Tuesday. Also,
I'm telling you, man. That was if you were looking for. And I mean, like, I don't know if this is reality or if this is the way I saw it. It seemed like everything was so upside down at the time for those 10 years of just like I got no fucking shot. You know what I mean? Like, as far as, the way the industry was, and it was so industry back then. And that was like, you'd sit there and you'd feel like a comic.
Wow, that makes me feel really good.
Oh, what are you kidding me?
Oh, it's a
private jets and going out and open and Chipotle's and this and that.
Yeah, we have a good life, and it's a good time, and hopefully no one cares that we just totally ripped off Seinfeld, but we have a good time over there.
It's an homage.
It certainly is. But you guys do a little bit of that, too. When I come on, I certainly just go full Seinfeld on there.
Dude, it's in my DNA. I mean, I watch that and The Sopranos over and over again.
Oh, boy.
Honestly.
Don't mention The Sopranos.
Why? You don't like them?
And we're done.
What?
No, I hate it.
You hate The Sopranos.
We can't talk about it. We can't talk about it. We'll get thrown out of the air. No, it's a great show. I love the show. It's very good.
But yeah, but Seinfeld, I mean, it's, I don't know, 40%, 42% of my personality, it's in there.
Yeah.
And Kippy, it's what we do.
Yes, and it is. It's a shorthand. It's a deep connection. When someone can bust out on those references, it does feel like it shortens the distance between your souls.
Man.
I'm like, oh, you're one of us.
Discovering the Jerry eye roll. Man, that changed my life. I hit my aunts. Everybody gets that.
Could you two please?
Susan at the movie.
All you guys do is sit around talking.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the fucking greatest. It's the best. I think I should just not tell this Chris DiStefano Seinfeld story. I think that's for the best.
Fair enough.
People have heard it. They know it. We tell them about the special, for God's sakes. It's already out. I watched the thing, by the way.
Thank you, buddy.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I got a brand new half-hour debut special over on the Are You Garbage YouTube page right now. I dropped it a little bit ago, and it's cooking, man. Everyone's been super supportive, all the comics, and everybody's sharing it. It's been great.
Of course. You're a hard guy not to like.
Comedy on State, Madison, Wisconsin.
That club is fantastic.
Again, sitting there eating my cheeseburgers, listening to Joe List and Mark Norman talking about all these clubs that they were at. That will I ever be there? And what's it like to be there? And what's Comedy Works in Denver really like? And all that stuff. And then to be at these places, it's something else.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Shout out to Comedy on State in Madison.
Were the girls there? The sisters?
I think I saw one, if I know who you're referring to.
Yeah, they own the joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're like
everybody was unbelievable.
They're the best. The staff is unbelievable. They named drinks after you.
One hot night, it was a Wednesday night. Caught a curveball hanging over the plate. It was great.
That's fun.
It was fun.
Go check. What's it called?
Live from Madison.
Live from Madison.
Are You Garbage YouTube page.
Go watch it. Of course, Are You Garbage, the fucking best podcast ever, which...
Thanks, buddy.
That was so fun. I mean, the first time I did it, I had a shaved head on a laptop in my bed during COVID. Did that start during COVID?
We started it 2 weeks before COVID, or maybe like a month before COVID. We had done, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. We filmed them at the Gotham Podcast Studio.
Wow.
And then the world shut down, and we were like, what do you want to do? And we were like, it's fucking... just to keep doing it.
Yeah, that was fun. Every time I've been on, I just love it.
We just had you and last one you guys were on was you and Sarah.
Yeah, that was great.
It was our second couple.
Who was the first couple?
Bert and Leanne.
Oh wow.
We had Bert and Leanne on to launch the new studio.
Oh nice.
And then we were like, this is a great idea to have the couples on, and there's not that many.
Was Rich and Bonnie? Have you had them on?
No, we've had Rich though. Rich was fun. We just had him not too long ago. But you and Sarah, obviously, you and Sarah are both fan favorites.
Oh, thank
Especially
you.
that told Machi.
Well, she's got another special coming out soon, which we shot at Grove 34. You got to get over to Grove 34.
There you go.
You not being at Grove 34
I hear
is
good
a crime.
things.
It's criminal.
I
and I'm
hear
not
good
just
things.
saying that because one of the trustee owners is over there. He came in late. I was saying this before he got there. So, yeah, you got to get in there.
I love it.
And, yeah, that's it. I mean, anything you want to add?
Can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
being here. Love you guys.
Yeah. There you go. Be kind to yourself.
Good.